let's get into these charts from the Financial Times that were released just in the last week, and I think are fairly shocking. So this is a F5. Young adults' personalities are changing with conscientiousness in a free fall. Look at that. So these are different traits. And the Financial Times here is citing research, the Understanding America study, and this is Financial Times' analysis of it. That's the relative change in strength of different personality traits by age group. So if you look at what's happened with the youngest Americans, so 16 to 39, not just teenagers, but from 2014 to 2024, so over about a decade, you see plunging on conscientiousness. You see a skyrocketing in neuroticism. You see a decline in agreeableness and a decline in extroversion. If we go to F6, the question the Financial Times asks, is the digital world outcompeting real world commitment? Well, among, again, people under 40, between 16 and 39, you see a plunging on the marker of people making plans and following through. You see plunging on persevering until finished, and a skyrocketing and people being easily distracted. And whether people can be careless, again, you see younger Americans outpacing older demographics with a rise in whether or not they're careless. Now, extroversion and trust, this is F7, are also in decline among younger Americans, actually everyone. And I just want to emphasize how important it is that we're basically seeing all of these trends across the board rise or fall across the board in the wrong direction. So if you're out, it is outgoing. That's a decline across age groups, but especially among the 16 to 39 demographic, is helpful to others. Declining among the 16 to 39 is trusting, declining among 16 to 39, declined overall as well, and starts arguments. That's up a little bit more modestly, but up among younger people, and declining in general actually, this one, you see a little bit of a difference with older people. It actually is declining overall, but with the middle-aged and the younger people on the rise. So these statistics we're beyond the point of a canary in a coal mine. And I think what's really, really important that these emphasize, and of course, it's just another article that you'll read and throw away, right? Because such is the nature of digital media. It's not like a print. It feels so much more ephemeral. It goes into your mind and then out. Maybe you absorb it briefly, but you scroll it scrolls into your memory just like it scrolls across your eyesight. And, these charts came out, I think it was the same day that I was watching this video that made me incredibly sad. This is a young man who is pretty much exactly on point about the problems his generation faces. Now, I have not validated his claims. What I'm using this clip for, and we're about to roll it in just one moment, is as a representative sampling of a genre that's taken off on TikTok, definitely on Instagram. You see them reposted on Twitter, but it's a very particular genre among younger Americans. This is not the only video. There are many of these every single day, which is sad, but let's roll S12.
They tell us to stop eating out and rent $2,000 a month. Oh, save for retirement, and yet you can barely save for next week. Go buy a house. Yep, every house is $500,000, brother. I'm not asking for a handout, man. We're asking for a freaking fair shot at life. Our parents did not work harder than we work right now. They were simply just given a better chance. Their wages covered their lives, their bills, their hobbies, their passions. Our wages barely cover our freaking bills for the month, dude. No amount of budgeting can ever fix a system designed to keep us down. We're doing the best that we can, and yet it feels like the outcome has already been decided.
So a couple of the hashtags on that video were like hashtag viral, hashtag follow me. And he's not wrong. I mean, I'm completely sympathetic to the economic and cultural argument that he makes in the video. What I think is worth pausing and considering when we view that video through the lens of these numbers, younger people declining or rising in neuroticism, declining in agreeableness, declining in extroversion. That young man is talking to the internet. And that's frightening, because we, on this show, cover a lot the Marshall McLuhan quote about how the medium is the message, right? And how that's often used in a much flatter, simpler way than people realize. What it means is that these new vehicles of communication, and McLuhan did not live to see TikTok, thank God for him, but the mediums themselves change what's being said. They're not just different vehicles. It's not like, oh, the message is getting out to the people faster. That's not it. I mean, that may be true, and it definitely is in the case of Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it. It's definitely true. But the medium is fundamentally changing the way that we talk about these things. So if you are a young person who feels like you don't have a lot of male friends, male loneliness is on the rise. Great example. There are stats on how now male college grads have just about the same unemployment level as male men without 4-year degrees. There was a new story on that recently, actually. So you feel like the playing field is not fair. It's not. I hear it, and it should be changed. Absolutely, no question about it. We need policy changes. We need cultural changes. What we probably don't need is more young men complaining about their personal financial circumstances on the internet. Now, I don't know him, and I don't know his story. All of that is true. But what I do think about a lot is how big tech isolates us so much that people then feel like their only option is to give big tech more engagement, right? Because these algorithms prize strong emotions. And the more isolated you are, the more alienated you are, the more lonely you are, in a lot of cases because of these technologies, which I think it's pretty hard to disagree with the correlation. I mean, we'll get more and more science on this. We're playing out this experiment in real time, but looking at spiking levels of neuroticism among people who are, younger people who are more exposed to these technologies over the last decade, declines in agreeableness, declines in extroversion, declines in making plans and following through and perseverance, rises in distraction, easily distractedness, carelessness. I mean, that's what this is doing to us. And the more that we use these mediums as mediators for our politics and personal lives, the more power that we're actually giving to TikTok and big tech. I mean, the hashtag on that video gutted me when I saw that it apparently was uploaded with the hashtag viral and hashtag follow me. That's incredibly depressing. That's incredibly depressing. I don't know if this young man is like many other young men and feels like he doesn't have someone to talk to. We've discussed on the show a couple of times recent New York Times op-eds talking about how women feel like they're now shouldering more of an emotional burden of having to listen to their boyfriends and husbands, which is obviously just part of being in a relationship or a marriage. Think of what that's doing to men, on top of the difficult circumstances that they already find themselves in socioeconomically. So I'm not, a obsessive over bootstraps philosophy, right? Like pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. I think there do need to be, I think that's absolutely virtuous. I don't think it's virtuous as a public policy. I think that we should shape our economy and our culture consciously to be to enable prosperity and to give people the best shot that they possibly can at thriving in this country and making this country strong. I don't think complaining about things being unfair on social media is a particularly constructive way, if it's the only way that we go about it. I'm one of the few people who gets paid to do it, which is slightly different. I think journalists are mentally unwell for a reason, and that's because you do actually, if you're an opinion journalist, opine and complain in public often. So I would say take a lesson from the misery of your average journalist and don't treat your life the same way by publishing opinions that you're not getting paid for, unless you feel like you're getting paid for the false affirmation that comes through likes, retweets, clicks. And just remember that the algorithm is set up to make you play the game where the stronger your emotion or the more your emotion is poured into a mold, right? The algorithm is the mold, right? It's like you're making a soap or I guess Jello. Let's stick with soap. Less disgusting. It's like you're making a soap, right? And the algorithm is the mold. You're just pouring the emotion into it because you've been told what is going to be hashtag viral, to use the example of that video again. So all the empathy in the world for this young man, I'm not blaming him for anything in particular, but I do worry that these algorithms seem to increasingly be rewarding for good reason because it resonates with people and it creates engagement, but rewarding something that's very unhealthy. Well, over the years, I've been clear about this. I'm not just pro-birth, I'm pro-life. And being pro-life, of course, means standing with mothers, not only before their baby is born, but long after. And that is exactly why I partner very proudly with Preborn. Preborn doesn't just save babies, they make motherhood abundantly possible. They provide free ultrasounds and share the truth of the gospel with women in crisis. And then they stay with real practical help, including financial support for up to 2 years after the baby is born. Amazing. This is what true Christ-centered compassion looks like, not just for that little baby, but for the mother too. And here's where you can make a difference. Just $28 provides a free life-saving ultrasound. One chance for a mother to see her baby, and when she does, she's twice as likely to choose life. Preborn is trying to save 70,000 babies this year, so don't just say you're pro-life, live it. Help save babies and support mothers today. Go to preborn.com/Emily or call 855-601-2229. That's preborn.com/Emily.